Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious, could you talk about the 1987 and the takeover of the Deacon? Because you
Yes.
announced, because you were here, and I read your book. But I was just kind of curious to get more of your feedback on it, because
Did it more what?
get more of your insight on what that was like, because you were here, and that was your second year, right?
Yeah, you know, so she's asking about the 1987 takeover of the Dakin House. You know, from my perspective, that was a crazy time here. That was a time when you know, it was sort of like a Lord of the Flies set in college, and the protests became, you know, on some reason, on some level, they were started with well-motivated enough intentions about wanting to achieve ends, but it quickly turned into sort of witch hunts and finger pointing. And you know, this is the part of the book that I don't apologize for at all, because people ended up being expelled for things that they didn't do at all, and there was and people were made to feel and people were completely hounded out of here, and that's something that's in the past here, and the system such as in a big way went haywire during that time, and you know, it's that's something I would still love to see Hampshire acknowledge, because I can tell you there's people out there whose lives were really shattered by the experience of what happened to them out there, and still are today. So that was my view of it. Others would have different views, but that was mine. Was there any other there?
Yeah, I actually read your book too, and I thought it was a lot like my first 2 years at college here, which were very apathetic and unmotivated and filled with inactivity. I dropped out and came back later, well, fourth year now, and I think if I were to write my memoir about Hampshire, it might be sort of similar. And I think it doesn't so much reflect poorly on the school at all, but maybe just poorly on you, or on me, if that were my observation.
Yeah, I mean,
damn right. Like,
I don't think.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you know, like I say, when I was here, there were people in my same class, people that went to class every day, and they studied, and they did all sorts of stuff, and they have their stories to tell. That wasn't mine, but this was my experience. Yes, sir.
So if that was your experience and that was his experience, and it seems like you guys were both in the minority for the most part, at least the Dicks, you know, in sort of opposition to everyone else on campus. I wonder to what extent it is a pendulum, if, you know, that wasn't really the cultural zeitgeist of the time. Do you think it really was, or do you think this is just something that's sort of always stayed static?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think within any time there's sort of counterbalancing trends going on. There's the thing they're happening. I mean, why don't you tell me, like, how similar is this to how similar those who have read it? How similar does it seem to Hampshire today? At all, or?